Well, as you can probably tell by this, I'm pretty much at the painting stage. I've got a few more trim lines to finish off and then I'm into laying it on. My editing, on the other hand, is still only at the demolition stage though, so this is a demolition episode. Now if you watched the first episode, you'll know just how gross this place was before I touched it. Lack of maintenance, badly needed repairs, worn out carpets, falling off wallpaper, mould, grime. And a lot of people said that the landlord should have been hung for it. Probably rightly so. But the reality is that the tenants didn't want him to do anything, because if he came in to repair this place, they would have had to move out for weeks, maybe even months, and they probably had nowhere else to go. Also, while watching that, you know, a lot of you probably thought, like I did, that there was plenty of surfaces in this place that really what they needed was a cloth and some spray, and they could have been wiped down, and although old and sort of worn out, at least they wouldn't have been dirty and mouldy. And the tenants obviously didn't do that. So the responsibility sort of falls 50-50 on both the landlord and the tenant. Now the story is from the neighbour that the poor kid that lived here was always sick. Asthma, bronchitis, eczema, allergies. And watching that first episode, it's kind of not that surprising. But in this episode, you're really going to see why this poor kid was always sick. So here's the demolition. So just seen earlier, I cut down the yuccas, I think the yucca palms that were all along the front of the building here. And now this is really the fully shady side of the house. So I've been here all day and there hasn't been any sun here. Now it is winter, but this gets no sun in winter down the side. Hence it's a bit of mould and algae and stuff growing on the paintwork, but also what you'll find, and I don't know if this is just because of the yuccas or just because these have never been maintained, but I'm just going to show you. I'll flip you around. You'll just see here the state of the sill on this big window is rather poor. So, and the rest of it's actually pretty good. Everything else, like you would expect maybe some of this stuff to be soft and in not great shape either, but it's just the sill. So we're going to look at seeing option one is to pull this out, drop the sill off it, get a new profile sill shaped up and stick that on the bottom and then put the thing in, and more likelihood is just to replace the whole thing with a better quality window. Now I to shed some light on this. This is the window that I was just showing you before that was all rotten, and so I'm just about to start pulling off the architrave and everything just to look around the edges of it and see how hard it is to get out, and if I can fix it and put it back in. But I just spotted something I just wanted to show you. Let's get the thing up under here, the torch, that there. There's chewing gum. So these guys would just, I guess there was a couch here or something, these guys would just finish their chewing gum and stick it up under the window. That is nasty. Another thing I found when ripping off the jib is over in the corner on the opposite side of the wall is where the hot water cylinder is you look down here, what we have is black mould. Obviously at some stage that water cylinder has leaked and it's got into the plasterboard, and they've replaced the cylinder but the plasterboard has stayed there, and as you can see it's pretty nasty and that is pretty bad for you. Right, and just because I've got a little lens that lets my phone take magnified footage, this is what that mould looks like up close and personal. Actually see those little things growing like little bushes. So as you can probably tell by the oven there, this was the kitchen. It's been stripped out. And this wall here is actually the back side of the bath. So where I showed you the rotten timber down the side of the bath, where obviously a crap load of water has been getting down for probably a couple of decades at least. And there's one little bit of jib there. And it's newer jib than that old plasterboard, so so obviously put in more recent years, but you can see all the mould and all the water damage. And I thought I'd have you come along for the ride while I pull this off and see how much damage there is from that water. Alright, here we go. We need that. Well, as you can see, this stud is stuffed, and under there, that's the floorboards under the bath, and that's the bottom of the bath there. So quite a bit of work of replacing framing and flooring in there. Now I'm pulling up this flooring, this ugly old flooring in the kitchen, so I want to expose the timber floors, and hopefully they're going to be in a good condition and they can be my finished product. But there's two ways to go about getting this stuff up, and the first one, the two ways that I know, and the first one that I tried was just a scraper and a knife, and I thought that's just how you had to do it. And as you can see, I can put in a whole lot of energy, and this stuff just barely wants to come up, and when it does loosen off, it just rips off where it is. You get all these tiny little pieces. So what I went on to was grabbing a heat gun. I got this from Bunnings for like next to nothing years ago, and a mask that'll take care of the fumes, because when you heat the stuff up, it emits a bit of a fume. And then what you're doing is you're just going back and forth and heating it up, and you're making this stuff, which is kind of stiff and brittle, making that softer and more malleable, and you're also heating up the glue and allowing the glue to release from the floor, and it's just 100 times better. So I'll show you. So as you can see, I've stripped out the kitchen the bathroom and the lounge so far in this little hallway section. And now I've got this big pile of junk. Now the reason I've got it in here is because outside I've got that archway, which means there's no way I can get a skip or a truck or anything that can take it away down here. And so I've had to resort to another option. So thanks to my neighbour who tipped me off on these guys, this is how I managed to sort out the rubbish. They come and take it away and carry it all out, and that's me sorted. So if you do find yourself in the position that I'm in, having to remove bloody 1,000 of these little plasterboard, jibboard tacks, what you'll find is that the heads of these tacks are typically they're rusted, and if they're tacks, they're probably in this old timber, which is this brown colour that's really similar obviously to that rusted head of that tack, that nail. So inevitably you get to the end, you think you've pulled the wall out, you've glued up your walls and you're putting up some fresh sheets of plasterboard, and then you find that you've missed a tack or two, and then you've got a mess on your hands with the glue and whatnot. So my little trick for making sure I get them all and don't miss any, or as many as possible, little spotlight, boom, a big shadow, and you're not going to miss that. If I can grab it. There you go, tip of the day. What are you doing?